Japan is actually a pretty good place if you're into coffee. For the same reason that Japan is really good at trains or toilets or whiskey, and that is that Japan is amazing at taking something that was invented elsewhere, bringing it in, refining it, and evolving it into its final form. So, if you're into coffee, you're either going to be going out and drinking it somewhere outside, or you're going to be making your own at home. And I want to cover both of these briefly in this video. So, your options in Japan, if you want to drink coffee outside, are limitless. There's a huge number of options, from vending machines and convenience stores at the bottom, all the way up to really high-class traditional coffee shops and independent little coffee shops that are scattered all over Japan. You could think of coffee as having a kind of hierarchy. So at the bottom, you've got things like vending machines, and this is, ranges from the kind of canned coffee, like the Boss ones, you might have seen the adverts with Tommy Lee Jones, up to kind of high-end coffee vending machines that grind the beans on the spot to make you a relatively decent cup of coffee. One step above that, we've got convenience stores, which again have been getting really good recently. So convenience store coffee is not to be sneered at. There's also the kind of cheap coffee chains, things like Dotoru, which has been around forever, and they actually make pretty decent sandwiches. Or Mr. Donut, that you might not think of as having coffee, but they do a bottomless coffee, so it's a good place to hang out and study. One step above that, we have the kind of Starbucks tier, which includes Starbucks. Starbucks can be found all over Japan, but also Japanese chains that are comparable kind of price performance level. And finally, the top tier. So my favorite part of coffee is independent coffee shops. And Japan has seen an explosion of these. So there are thousands, tens of thousands of coffee shops all over Japan, all roasting their own beans and creating their own atmosphere. From the very traditional kind of kissa coffee shops, where they generally do the pour over coffee, to shops with like AeroPress brewing, or shops that have been influenced by the kind of Australian, New Zealand style, which is the flat whites and so on. So whatever kind of coffee you like, as long as you're in a medium-sized town, you can probably find an independent coffee shop to explore in Japan. Now, the other option, brewing at home, is actually the reason why I'm making this video today. So I've been drinking this stuff forever. This is the Costco brand, the Kirkland espresso roast beans. And for a long time, this was one of the best options in Japan in terms of price performance. So this bag used to cost about 1,500 yen for just over a kilo of coffee beans. And they were okay. So this is a very dark roast. I like strong coffee. This makes a pretty evil, strong, bitter kind of coffee. And that's the way I like my coffee. I drink far too much coffee. I'm pretty much fueled by caffeine. So I've been using this for a long time. But recently, the price has gone up. So this is no longer 1,500 yen. It's actually 2,600 or so now. And also, I feel like the quality is getting worse. Not sure if that's objectively getting worse, or maybe, my palate is evolving. But basically, I'm starting to look for an alternative. So I'm looking for somewhere where I can buy beans, probably in smaller batches, so they're fresher, and either somewhere local that I can find, or somewhere where I can get them delivered. So I asked on Twitter, so I asked people for their recommendations, and we got dozens of recommendations for places that deliver or ship coffee across Japan. So I'm going to compile those into a blog post, probably next week or so. But in the meantime, I'm going to link to the Twitter thread in the description. So do check that out if you're into coffee. And also, I'm hoping to get some more recommendations. So if you have a good option for coffee beans in Japan, please stick it in the comments below. and in the incredibly unlikely event that you live in Sendai and you've got a good local option, please stick that in there as well. And seeing as you've got this far, you've got to the end of the video, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We talk about money, we talk about investing, we talk about retirement, and we talk about life in Japan. So if you want to see more of these videos, do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.